Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to talk about the words teaching and learning with how they're being represented and portrayed within the dog training community. And this is one of the things, when I hear those words right away, red flags go up, okay? And should go up for you too as you go and do your research, look at the videos I'm putting out. Especially, again, I encourage you to go watch my series called Learning Theory Breakdown. If you really want to understand this whole idea about the questions whether or not training is really a learning and teaching exercise. And here's the dot to connect. Once a dog has already gained a level of control in the relationship and the perceptions have already changed, whether or not you should actually jump into a relationship problem that way. And my encouragement, again, is to really question this very popular idea of what training is. This whole idea about learning and teaching, learning theory as it's being represented or misrepresented, okay, within the parameters of the dog training community by way of, again, getting dogs to respond. Now here's the thing, again, as soon as I hear those words, okay, I already start to step back and say, hold on here a second, okay, what exactly are you referencing by way of learning and teaching? And again, I would encourage you to take this over to the parenting example to really help make sense of what I'm talking about. Why it is that I approach training the way that I do by way of a interaction-based methodology, versus this very popular idea that training, once a dog's gained a level of control, once you're experiencing an ongoing relationship problem, that training is a learning and teaching exercise. Because here's the thing, is you have to really start to step back and look at the picture that's being painted, how it's being marketed, how it's being presented and sold as is to the public, okay, without any depth, without connecting dots properly, and without the ability to gain context, okay, as to what's really happening beyond the dog going through the motions, okay, going through the motions of the sit down, come and stay. How it is that can look absolutely fantastic as you're petting and rewarding all over your dog, makes you feel really good. But again, on the other side of things, whether or not that's actually going to hold up by way of unwanted behavior issues diminishing, by way of perceptions of dogs changing the right way. And again, just consider the parenting example as a reference point. Now again, talk about teaching and learning. It's no different than, again, once a child already has become selfish, okay, kind of having that kind of epiphany moment where, okay, I got a problem here, what do I need to do? And walking us back to actually look at the actual parenting style, okay, understand the issue about causation here by way of how perceptions of children start to become, affected or altered by way of their attitude or their not so good attitude, as they start to become more and more selfish, as behavioral issues escalate, okay? Just think about what I'm saying here. And then turning it into a teaching, learning exercise. And the question asks, okay, what does that really mean? Well, it basically means the same thing. And consider it. It'd be like pulling out the Xbox games, okay? Think about, motivating a response, right? To get the child, okay, to respond certain ways, and think about the things that represent, okay, think about the good actions or the things that, you would kind of focus in on, say, okay, child making their bed, well, that's a good thing. That's a good response. Based again on, being within a helper role, responding certain ways, maybe picking up their toys, doing certain things. But here's the kicker, okay, here's the problem, is about how you're jumping in that way. How you're focused on responses, that's your only focus in a very superficial way, is on generating a series of responses so you can package it up, right, and then sell it to the parent. Say, well, you're good to go. Little Johnny is doing those things that, that are good responses. Well, you can trust that the relationship is changing for the better. You can trust appearances that way, that is representative of change. And think about, transfer this over to the dog training world. Dogs are social animals. The standard, okay, what's the big focus in the dog training world? Exact same thing, okay, it's no different. If people wonder why it is that this doesn't connect for so many dogs and owners, well, think about, the same thing. Only to, for the so-called professional to kind of, exit the scene of the crime, so to speak, and then suddenly you're discovering, well, I thought maybe things were changing because it feels really good, and the responses are happening, but bad attitude. Okay, nothing's changing. Little Johnny is just as disrespectful, and I'm having all this. So what's happening here? Well, what's happening here is you were sold a superficial, appearance-based picture that focused on you the wrong way, made you feel really good, but it did nothing to affect change because it wasn't even about that. Okay, it wasn't about depth. It wasn't about relationship that way. It was just about people feeling good about what they're doing. And again, link this to the permissive parenting style, why people struggle in relationships, okay? Because they have certain ideas about confrontation, about conflict, about discipline, about punishment. It's the same themes throughout. This is why, again, when I approach training the way that I do, and even those who identify as balanced dog trainers get triggered, they really do, when they're confronted, say, well, this is the problem, and they try to push back against and say, well, hold on here a second, this is how we do it. And again, I source it out. I say, here's the real issue here. This is why so many people are struggling. And just because you talk different, okay, you offer a different approach, it doesn't mean that you're abusing dogs. And understand, this is why you see all these mainstream dog trainers, including balanced dog trainers, incite the social media mob when people talk different, because they're aligned with the same idea. Okay, there's so much confusion about the role of influence, about a process, trusting appearances, trusting that you can kind of put your faith, hope, and trust in what you see that way, and you really can't. Understand, this is the fatal flaw, okay, of this idea. But again, I would encourage you as a dog owner, if you're looking for answers, to check out my 10-part series called Learning Theory Breakdown. I go through it point by point, okay, to help people understand what's happening beyond appearances, why it is that the dog training world is in the state that it's in. You're seeing so many dogs and owners continue to struggle in the relationship with their dogs and looking for answers. Meanwhile, people are just selling it that way, okay, and just moving on. It's like dogs are getting the blame when it's really the fault of this idea, and they're just moving on because it's easy to do. Understand, it's so easy just to move on because it's a culture. Understand, it's like a rigged game. All these trainers are doing it, balanced and force-free. They're all doing the same thing basically, and they're moving on. They're playing off of those dynamics. I answer the questions. This is the real issue. This is why, if you really care about your dog and you really want to make sure that change is going to happen, that unwanted behavior issues are going to diminish, this is the path to take. Okay, very intentional with the way it changes perceptions of dogs, reconciling your role in the relationship, reconciling the role of influence, dogs coming into agreement with. Okay, this isn't about dog abuse at all. Just like think about a child that comes into agreement with a parent who has adopted the right parenting style. And the difference is about being proactive. So you see a proactive methodology at work here, because again, it's understanding where you're at as soon as you step into a relationship problem and what needs to happen to create change. But if you have any questions, contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Lots of great training options available through my website. Check them out. Contact me. I'll be happy to get you on the right path. Thanks for watching.